Hello, fellow readers and booktubers. I'm currently reading a very interesting book, and there was a short passage in this book that resonated with me in a very powerful way. This is the book, Doppelganger, by Naomi Klein. I was first made aware of this book by way of BookTube. It was published in 2023, and I think it was last year. Some booktubers had posted videos about the book, their critique and review of the book. I'm not going to do that. That's not what this video is about. I haven't finished the book, and I certainly couldn't review a book that I haven't completed. I'm only about a third of the way through. But in that first third of this book, there is this passage that I'm going to quote to you in just a little bit. First of all, let me just explain what the book is about. It's nonfiction. Naomi Klein is a very respected author, journalist, and activist. She does her research. She knows what her responsibilities are to her work. She's very serious about the work that she does. She double checks the facts that she uses to support her conclusions. She's also written a number of books. There's another journalist by the name of Naomi Wolf. Same first name, different last name. Naomi Wolf was once a respected journalist, but sometime around COVID, she went down that rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and junk science and unfounded conclusions based on the vaguest of fact or questionable facts at best. Now, of course, to go down that rabbit hole, you're pretty much guaranteed a guest spot on Fox News, and certainly a regular seat on the podcasts of the damned, as I like to call them. You know, people like Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson and all the rest. Now, what had happened was Naomi Klein, who has an online presence and who is very well known, started to hear all kinds of weird comments about herself. She would even see things written about her, and it wasn't her. People were confusing her with Naomi Wolf. And at first, Miss Klein kind of took this in stride and with good humor, but after a while, it got to be rather damaging to her reputation. So this book, or at least the first 100 pages, is about her trying to set the record straight. She's Naomi Klein, a serious writer who does her research, who's honest, and who seeks the truth with honesty and integrity. She's not Naomi Wolf, not by any stretch of the imagination. So, you know, at least the first third of this book is her setting the record straight here. She's good. But there's an overarching theme in this book, and it has to do with the title Doppelganger. Now, I think most of you know, this is one of those words that kind of entered the English lexicon decades ago. A doppelganger is your twin, your mirror image. It's someone who looks like you and sounds like you and thinks like you, but it's not you. What Ms. Klein is talking about here is how we've all created our own doppelgangers, largely because of social media. And what's happened is, you know, whether we have a Facebook account or YouTube or a BookTube account, we're presenting an image of ourselves that isn't completely us. We're curating our image. We're presenting a side of our personality. We're creating our own doppelgangers. We're branding ourselves, but it's not really us. But it's a part of us, but only a part of us. So, you know, on BookTube, this is me talking to you, okay? I am Robert G, but there's also a Robert G, and that initial G stands for a much longer last name. You can find that out easily enough if you want to do the research. That Robert G is also a reader of books, but he's also many other things. You know, I love books. I've always loved books. I'm a voracious reader. I'm not misleading any of you. I have read all the books I talk about. I've read all the books on these shelves, and I will continue to do so. But I'm more than just that. You know, I love my daughters. I love my family. I love my friends. I love the occasional glass of scotch. I am among the blessed. The gods have given me a job that I love, or at least one that I like a lot. You know, so those are other aspects of my personality that very rarely emerge on my BookTube channel, if at all. And if I mention those things, it's only in passing. So what you're seeing is me, but it's my doppelganger. It's not all of me. It's an image of me that I've kind of branded myself. Now, this is all fairly harmless, I'm particularly in something like BookTube, right? There's no intention to mislead. I'm not trying to grift anybody out of money or anything like that. But there's a problem with it after a while. And in this book, Naomi Klein wrote something that really struck me and resonated with me very powerfully, as I said at the beginning of this video. And it explains something that happened to me recently. Some of you noted about a month or two ago, I went maybe 2 weeks without posting anything, no videos, nothing. And people began to ask questions. Are you okay? Are you still out there? Well, I was still reading, but what had happened was I couldn't post anything. I couldn't make any more videos, and I didn't know exactly what was holding me back. I was reading as much as ever, and I had some ideas and thoughts, and I was writing out some of my feelings about the books that I had read and some of my personal meditations and insights on things, but I just couldn't make another video. And then I noticed some other booktubers were experiencing the same thing. Not everybody, but many of us were cutting back a little bit. We were standing back before we dived back in. And I'm about ready to dive back in. I've been posting a little bit more here and there. But what was that about? What happened? Well, in Miss Klein's book, on page 61, she's talking about this idea of curating your own image on social media or branding yourself. And she writes this: branding is a process that requires what the author and psychotherapist Nancy Collier describes as an imperative to, quote, relate to ourself in the third person, close quote. A commodified self may be rich, but commodification still requires a partitioning, an internal doubling that is inherently alienating. There is you, and then there is brand you. As much as we might like to believe that these selves can be kept separate, brands are hungry, demanding things, and one self necessarily impacts the other. And I think what had happened to myself and to some of my fellow booktubers is our doppelgangers, our brand selves, were becoming incredibly demanding. They were taking over our lives. They were controlling us. Our doppelgangers get hungry and we have to feed the beast. And some of us just reel back from that. And that's kind of what happened to me. So again, I just want to emphasize here, this is me, but I'm not him, in the sense that what I'm telling you is what I think about certain books and how I feel about certain authors. That's for real. I'm not misrepresenting myself, but there's another me that includes this guy, but also these other things. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I haven't lost any subscribers because of this. But anyway, it's an interesting thought. And again, I haven't completed the book, but that in itself is enough that's kept me reading this and how Ms. Klein deals with her doppelganger experience. Because I'm experiencing the same thing on YouTube, and even on I do have a Facebook account. I don't pay much attention to it anymore. But I think we're all experiencing this in one way or another. And it might be a healthy thing every once in a while if we step back a little bit, maybe reconnect with who we really are. So I'm him, but he's not me. That's all I've got for you today, everybody. Stay strong, keep reading.